How you going, everybody? Dusty Bogan here. I'm with my mate Dave Pellowe, the legend who runs Church and State Summit every year. Dave's been a good mate of mine. He's done a lot. He's one of the local living legends, a true Christian man. He's the kind of guy who I feel as though I can learn a lot from him. Do you know what I mean? You can help me help Dusty with all my things going on, you know what I mean? So say g'day, Dave.
G'day, Dusty, and thanks very much for inviting me on your show to have a chat. I'm really impressed by how much you're really giving this a red-hot crack and figuring out all kinds of new ways to connect with people and get the truth out there.
Yeah, mate. I was a stumbling mess when we first met, you know what I mean?
Right.
Do you remember the handshake? I was like, Dave, that was so inspirational when I came to
yeah, that was the first Church and State Summit, and that was lots of fun, and everybody's just really keen to talk about how we can take our culture back and stop sitting on the sidelines and letting people with really bad agendas have all the platform and commentary to themselves. And so, that's really great. And I'm glad if I've been a small encouragement to you, because you've been a huge encouragement to me.
And I'll probably get you in trouble too. Remember the first time you took me out?
I remember, the Cherish Life rally. And you're just helping me with the camera a bit, and we got a nice shot. We got up on the stage before it all started. Everybody's there waiting for it to start, and I'm like, oh, let's get a good shot of the audience here. And then you jump on the microphone and start saying g'day to everyone.
That was the best experience. I was just, hey, you going, everybody? No. The crowd went wild.
I'm hanging my head in shame.
I got a taste for it, you know. I started drooling. I think you were like, get away from there, you stupid idiot.
You're making me look bad. You're making me look like a bogan.
And then I had to embrace it, the bogan, mate. The bogan lifestyle, you know?
Yeah.
So
cool.
What do you reckon, mate? I remember this year at Church and State, you were saying to everyone, hey, if all the Christians realize like they're trying to, abort babies here big time, they're trying to push late-term abortion, and you sort of said if every Christian, I think you said like if 100 Christians in every electorate went out and door knocked, we will win this election. We will stop late-term abortion. We can push back this radical abortion.
Yeah, the vision I've got is for 1,000 Christians in every electorate to communicate with their candidates at every election. So they don't need to door knock. They don't need to do anything scary or uncomfortable. They just need to talk to the politicians and just need to not be the silent majority, the quiet Australians sitting on the sidelines, failing to engage. They can't let the mainstream media dictate the agenda. The unions and the environmental extremists dictate agendas and what's really important to society, because there's really important things going on, such as the wholesale slaughter of unborn children, 100,000 up to every year in Australia. And because it's the secret hidden genocide in our nation, we just let it go. But we need to be the people that speak against injustice and bring evil to light and end it. And if we just get involved with our candidates without making a big deal about it and just say, hey, I'm an undecided voter, but I'm looking for a pro-life candidate. Abortion to me is the greatest injustice. If you can help solve that, then you'll probably get my vote, and I'll also put your sign in my front yard, donate to your campaign, and maybe volunteer a few hours on election day because I have to go vote anyway. If we can do all of that, we can change the nation, because there's 52% of us at the last census said that we're Christians. 1.8 million of us go to church every single week. That's the kind of army that should be mobilized at every election, because the Bible cares about justice. But reasonable people care about justice. Patriots care about justice. We want the best thing for our nation, and the best thing for every individual in our nation is obviously going to be good for the nation as well. And the right to be killed by somebody else, to be treated as disposable property, that's not good for any individual at all. That's slavery.
I reckon I was saying this the other day, right? It was something like my wife's parents, they had a shotgun wedding. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that now we abort babies, but it used to be shotgun weddings. Do you know what I mean? It used
Yep.
to be the man was going to die. The man was going to get shot. I was like Terminator 2. He's coming after you with on his Harley and his lever action. He's going to blow your brains out. Do you know what I mean? But we traded that in. We took the gun out of, we're like, nah, we're not going to point the gun at you, mate. And we pointing the gun at the baby in the womb. And we're like, bang. That's exactly what was happening. And I think, I'm happy to start talking to people and say, we need to bring back shotgun weddings. I think a lot of people who are alive right now were the result of shotgun weddings. Maybe the last generation, but we need to bring it back. Bring back shotgun weddings. I reckon it helps men. It like domesticates men. It makes people responsible for their actions. We've got 40-year-old blokes running around out there acting like they're 16. And I'm telling you, it's probably because 10 shotgun weddings didn't happen.
Yeah,
probably abortions happen.
I don't think a baby's a good reason to get married. I think if you create a baby, you need to take responsibility for it, but that's financially and emotionally, but it doesn't mean you should marry the mother. I think you should give that, a go and date and everything like that. But marriage is pretty hard work, and getting married for the wrong reason, if you're not prepared to make a commitment to each other forever, no matter how hard it gets, then that's not going to be good for the baby. It's going to create a fairly toxic family environment, and it's not good for the mum or the dad either. So absolutely, we should be taking responsibility for kids. And before the advent of the welfare state, you had nearly 25% of African-American households were single parent, single mother households, because dads were largely responsible. Since welfare, since the government has said, we'll take responsibility for your kids and for the girl you knocked up, then fatherlessness has proliferated. Nearly 3/4 of African American households today are single mother households, and fatherlessness is a huge predictor of failed education, failed career, failed even law-abiding citizens. It's a huge contributor to the population that goes to jail. And so this is an easily preventable problem that we have, and that's just get married and stay married. Now,
and here's the thing about
best yet is to only create babies in marriage. That's the ideal.
Yeah.
But what we should have zero tolerance for is killing babies simply because you created them out of wedlock or any other reason. If the argument for killing the child isn't good when the child is crawling around 2 years old or 1 year old, then it's not good at any stage, because it's a living human at every stage of its development.
I totally agree. And here's the thing, like you said about the stats for the African Americans, right? So, like, I'm sure you agree with me. It doesn't matter if the African American, if we start seeing the same stats in every racial group, demographic, we're going to see the same negative things, like the prisons and the crime and the drugs and the mental health. Like the issues in the African American community, I think, are directly tied to the fact that there are so many single parent homes. And if we keep down the same route, you know what? I think we should be helping and talking to African mates, or it's just that African Americans seem to have that problem. But I reckon
it's across all ethnicities. I just have the stats for that particular demographic.
So the greater
it's all
that
across the area
goes, the higher that single parent family stats go, the worse all the other stats go with the
it's a predictor for terrible social problems. Incarceration, criminality, substance abuse, failed education, failed careers. It perpetuates teen pregnancy. It increases likelihood of divorce, and it's really, really terrible. And it's a broken system. And how we got onto this was talking about men taking responsibility, and I'm a huge advocate of that. I don't think it means an automatic marriage, shotgun wedding. I do think it means you commit to co-parenting that child, and you say, I'll be here for it, I'll support it financially, I'll love it, I'll give it all the affection and fathering that I can, and if it works out between us, that's a separate issue we need to deal with on its own merits. And again, if we have this cultural value of not sleeping around and treating sex as a commodity, where we saw Teen Vogue in today's headlines. Teen Vogue is writing an article telling teenage girls that sex workers is a real occupation. And it's like, why on earth would we be treating women as just a body instead of a soul, a spirit, and a body altogether? There's this whole person here we should be talking about. Women are not commodities, and that's not the message we should be sending to teenage girls or teenagers anywhere, or society in general. And that is that sex is this thing between people, whole people, not animals. And that includes the soul and the body. And to treat people as nothing more than a sex object is to demean them and diminish them far beneath the dignity that every single individual is worth. So, the value of purity before marriage has huge benefits for the individual and for society.
Mm-hmm. And I remember when I first came a Christian, and look, I was living my life just like these people we're talking about. But I believe the Holy Spirit came into my life and helped me. Jesus said,
absolutely,
the helper. It's called the helper. The Holy Spirit's called the helper. You receive power and help. And
that's the whole point of being a Christian. It's not a holy club. It's not a holier than thou club with people that are better than others. It's people who admit they need help, that they want to do better than they can do by themselves. That's exactly what church is. It's not a collection of perfect people.
They will receive help. And I think sometimes people could hear this, this kind of talk, and it's like, oh, it's a bit condemning. But the thing is, hey, look, the spiritual transformation really is where we're going to see this cultural shift. So we need trust me, I can't live like that. I couldn't live like that without the Holy Spirit helping me, because without the Holy Spirit, I'm living in the flesh. It's self-gratification, and it's all about my emotions, and it's all about stimulating the nerve endings. But when you become a Christian, when you get the Holy Spirit, you get empowered from the inside out. You're content.
That's right.
You're content. You're happy. You're at peace. You know what I mean? You're forgiving. You feel forgiveness. Your heart is light. And yes, you can make mistakes, but I think you forgive yourself, and you feel empowered, and you do better. It's like the act of repentance, where it's like we're turning from our mistakes constantly. Like, yes, we might, oh crap, that was stupid, that was wrong. Oh, I can forgive myself, I can move forward, and I can do better. And I feel good about myself, and I'm going to do better. And it's like from the inside out, this transformation happens,
Yeah, absolutely. And look, if people are feeling condemned, that's not the intention. And the whole message of hope that Jesus brought was to end condemnation, because that's where we're at without him. And like it or lump it, there exists right and wrong. Somebody was telling me the other day, there's no such thing as objective morality. And I'm like, well, how can you say slavery was wrong? If you can't say there's an absolute right and wrong that we can always know, then you have no right to people, or any of the other brutal dictatorships that have happened in history. You have no right to tell them they were wrong if they were right according to their subjective morality, which you're arguing is all that exists. And of course they were wrong. We know that. And so because there's right and wrong, that's what we talk about. It's not condemnation, it's truth. And if we are ignorant of truth, it's a liability. If we find out we're wrong and we can get both hands on truth, that becomes an asset. So if I'm wrong, I want to be persuaded. Do me a favor and
I'm
tell
convinced that there's like objective morality, because hey, I know this. I'm conscious. I know. I know what hurts me. I know what is not good. You know what I mean? Oh, damn, that hurt me. That did make me feel emotionally bad. Whatever it is. That burnt. That's painful. But this is what Jesus said: treat people how you want to be treated. Do to others as you'd have done to yourself, because we know this. We know what hurts us. We know what's negative to us. Yep. So this is the picture of morality, you know what I mean? And Confucius and Socrates say it. I think we're seeing guys like even Stefan Molyneux and Jordan Peterson, maybe guys who are not Christian, but they coming to the same Christian ideas around morality. And I think that they're actually taking on board what Jesus has said there. It's like, oh, that hurt. I don't like that. I can tell. I know that's wrong in myself. I'm not going to treat other people that way. Like, if we just ask that question all the time, we will make pretty good moral choices, you know? And I think that's something that's almost like a universal thing where we can say, I think a lot of people, a bulk majority of people, can agree on morality in that sense. How Jesus said, you know, this is how we get our morality, really.
Yeah, yeah. So, the church and state summits have been really good, and there's been lots of people in the last election who've picked up on the strategy to just talk to their local candidates, become a genuinely undecided voter, and then support the best candidate when comparing them from an objective standard. And
do you think that this election was do you think the fact that Bill Shorten wanted abortions happening in public hospitals and taxpayers to pay for abortion, do you think that contributed to the Conservatives winning?
Undoubtedly, without a doubt. It was a brilliant demonstration of how what the political elites dictate the issues are is not always right. And we can, the quiet Australians can actually raise an issue, a critical justice issue that's being ignored by the mainstream media, ignored by the major parties. And we can say, hey, this is the election issue going on. And, we need to do that more and more and more. I tell you what, every candidate will be listening, whether they're incumbent at the moment or just putting their hand up at the next election. They will be listening when 1,000 people in their electorate email them or pick up the phone or have a coffee with them and say, hey, listen, I'm looking for a candidate who will vote against abortion at every opportunity. 1,000 of us have that conversation with them. And then we say, if you're the right guy, I'll get behind you. I won't just vote for you. I'll support you. That will be powerful, and we can change our culture so that pro-abortion candidates are as rare as pro-slavery candidates. And
Amen. I totally agree, man. I reckon that's awesome. And I was just amazed when you were talking about this at Church and State at the beginning of the year, and I was like, yes, Dave, you keep winning, man. You keep it's just so inspirational, dude. I love it. Hey.
Yeah,
thank
awesome.
Thank God you're doing it, because we can get this message out, remind people, let's do this, let's do something practical, let's see the positive change here.
Yeah, well, praise God, because it's not my idea, it's just the Bible. Again, we're not imposing any subjective morality on anybody. We're only talking about objective justice. It's wrong to kill people. And yes, a baby is a person. It is living. It is human from conception. High school biology, super, super simple stuff. It's human by species. It's life by definition. There's cell mitosis, division, replication, multiplication going on. It's growing. Every definition of life confirms that an embryo and a fetus and all of the stages of development thereafter, infant, toddler, child, adolescent, geriatric, all of these are just stages of development. And at no stage was it anything other than a living human. This isn't some personal philosophy. This is just basic facts. It's alive. It's human. Again, it's no credit to me. I'm just
you're outworking your
saying
faith,
what
mate.
Everybody else is feeling.
You're outworking your faith. You're being true to your Christianity,
right.
So
yeah, and I think that is the truth of it. Is it's nothing special for any individual with any calling or gift or burden. It's every Christian's obligation. That's my message. Is it's loving your neighbor. It's super basic and universal. Everybody should be. I'm banging my microphone here, talking with my hands so much.
You're getting excited, mate.
And we should be. We should be passionate about rebuking the oppressor and speaking up for those who were appointed to die. It's basic scripture.
And so was it last Thursday you put on an event? What was your event called?
It was called Did Qantas Fire Israel Folau? And it was a book launch for a author by the name of Dr. Jeremy Samet. And he's written a book about how to stop social justice warrior, virtue signaling corporations, because the big corporations have taken this probably good idea called corporate social responsibility, or CSR for short, and they've taken it to an extreme where they're going well beyond its good things, and now it's become a bad thing. So corporate social responsibility is things like a company being mindful of the pollution that it causes and just being concerned about their impact on the community, doing the right thing by the larger society that they live in, not just the profitable thing. And that's good, and that's important. But they've taken that now to how to socially engineer society. An anti-democratic violation of free rights. Certainly we see people like Israel Folau being censored care of Qantas's sponsorship, which undoubtedly had a significant part to play in Rugby Australia's decision on how to deal with Israel's expression of his religious convictions. And
so what happened to multiculturalism? You know how they always say multicultural? What about the Christians? What about, I reckon all my workmates, like I got Hindus, Buddhists, I speak to a lot of guys of different faiths, always having a chat. And I always say to them, how do you feel about abortion? They say, I don't want nothing to do with it.
Yep.
So like, this is an attack on Christians, but I don't, all the multicultural, well, yeah, there's different belief systems in this nation. There's different religions. That's right. Like in that sense, I believe in multiculturalism because, hey, yeah, you could be an atheist. You're not forced to be a Christian. We want you to voluntarily choose to be a Christian. That's the point, So yes, there's going to be a multiple of ideas out there. But where is multiculturalism in this new politically correct? It's like left-wing authoritarianism,
Absolutely, it is. And that's exactly the point. Is they don't want people having conversations about issues that they've decided. They don't want any further debate, and they will use every strategy under the sun except logic and civil discourse to end the debate. They do not want to attempt to persuade people that they're right. They will only enforce their opinion, and that's certainly what we see all over the place, including this CSR, corporate social responsibility, has gone to this point where they now think there's a big stick. And so the book is basically saying we can actually play the game they're playing, and we need to modify the objectives of corporate social responsibility to include the idea of being politically neutral. And that should be everybody. And so, it's one strategy. It might not be the best, or it might be, but there's certainly other strategies. And so he talks about things like shareholders should go along to company AGMs and demand, front up like the protesters do to get their issues and agendas into the corporate social responsibility guidelines. Then they should go along and demand that the company adapt its corporate social responsibility policy to have a no political interference clause in it. It's a great idea.
That's awesome, man. I love it how you're so practical, Dave. You're just like, bang, this is what we need to do with abortion. This is what we need to think about with these corporations.
This is Jeremy Sammett's book. I just interviewed him. It's not my idea.
You're getting it out there.
Yeah, well, that's why we do these shows, and people. I'm just watching the chat actually. Oh
yeah, they abusing you? No.
No. They're having a good conversation. We should have a chat to him, Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say that, Charlie. I'm really sorry. Brown now.
I suck at pronouncing people's names. So
the bane of Brisbane. A conservative multicultural approach isn't a bad thing.
Multicultural means a savage.
Marxism is cancer. Love it.
Yeah, mate. That's the great thing about doing lives, you know what I mean? And you can interact with your people. I sit here all the time.
Yeah, it's good.
Multicultural is a dog whistle, means savages. I don't know.
There's a little bit of a delay between, I don't know if it's 5 seconds or 30 seconds, but it's not too far.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a good evening. The whole point of me doing live events like this isn't to have a huge audience. It's to create another dimension, another feel to it. Normally, I just do the interviews like we're doing now, just face to face.
Yeah.
I should do some more of these lives like that.
You should, Dave. It's awesome. You can do your You can do your super chats or set up a Streamlab and people can donate. I haven't done mine yet, but
well, I'll tell you what, it's expensive to hire a venue. I like the feel of doing it live because I get people to SMS from the audience or via live stream. But yeah, I'm going to do it your way, Dusty. You've inspired me. I want to be like you when I grow up.
Oh, for sure, mate. But if you ever do, like, I was a real shame because I knew that this your event was going on, and I couldn't make it because I'd locked myself into 2 interviews that night.
Oh, nice.
But so yeah,
the good thing is we get to have a meal together. So
you get to have community.
You get to have networking and meet like-minded people or people of different minds. Everybody's welcome. So caught up with a few lads before the thing started, and ladies and gentlemen, and you have a drink at the bar, you have a meal from the bistro, you go in, you have an interview for an hour, you pack up, you go home. I probably need to have, I don't know, 20 or 30 people there. I make it free. Again, I just want people to come and enjoy it, and if they like it, make a donation. But it is still kind of expensive to do, so I won't do it too often, I don't think, or maybe I need to get a whole lot more supporters.
Well, we need to start backing you up. You know what I mean? I reckon we can help you promote your next event that you have, and we can get more people there and see if we can get you some donations too. Because the thing is, like, I like the idea of like it being free and people can contribute, because some people can't afford this stuff,
right?
And then other people who can afford, but they can also afford to be a little bit more generous. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of like they're helping the people who can't afford it. So they're getting to actually be generous, do something good for that community. And I like that. That's the way I've set up my my kind of, when people donate to me, that's the way it is. Hey, like I always just say, look, you giving is like a big thanks to me, and I want to keep my stuff as free keep it free, because some people can't afford to give.
Nothing I have is behind a paywall. Events, you have to cover costs.
Yeah, there's cost involved.
And the annual Church and State Summit, I hope it actually becomes a bit of a fundraiser as well as just covering costs. But then I'm available to take it around Australia. If anybody wants me to come to their town, I can't bring, all the excellent speakers that are at the summit each year, but I can come and essentially we just need to cover the costs of getting there. And if you need to charge a small door price or do it for free, I don't care.
That's awesome, man.
Because not everybody can come to Brisbane each year. By the way, little plug for the Church and State Summit. If you want to check it out, it's the last weekend of February next year. Every year, it's the last weekend of February. And we've got a guest speaker coming from America, some other great guest speakers next year. But we're also going to be doing Wednesday night in Melbourne, Thursday night in Sydney, and then the full summit Friday and Saturday in Brisbane again.
Wow, that's awesome, Dave.
Spread it around a bit, yeah. So
like at this event, I seen Lyle Shelton. He did a post, and he was there. He met the Proud Boys. He did a post, and he said, "These guys, they call these guys Nazis, but they're just normal guys who are sick of the PC madness," something like that. And then everyone cracked the shits because one of the Proud Boys did the OK sign. Some people say it's the 666 sign. Some people say it's the white power sign. Some people say some people say peace means 2 genders. Do you know what I mean? It's all from 4chan. I don't know if you're aware of that, but 4chan, they keep creating these
Never
things.
Been on it.
Yeah, they said they've created the thing saying that a hashtag means Hail Hitler. So, everyone who's ever used the hashtag's a Nazi, and everyone who's ever done the peace sign is referring to that there's only 2 genders. And when Donald Trump was, how Trump always talks with his hands. I think Trump was talking with his hands, and they said Trump's signaling his people, and they said he's doing the white power thing. I think 4chan created it, and then it's gone viral. So one of our Proud Boys, because I'm in the Proud Boys, right? And the next day, I was on the chat, and everyone's like, "Oh, holy crap! That actually blew up on Lyle," and everyone was saying there was someone did the white power sign, and then my mate who is sitting there like he did the OK thing. He's like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe I've caused all this drama. Like, I'm such an idiot. I had no idea that was even a thing." Do you know what I
mean? Yeah. The Proud Boys were not specifically invited. Everybody was invited. And every Proud Boy that I know, like you, is a stand-up bloke who has nothing against anybody of any color and takes everybody as an individual. There's good and bad in all of us. They came along, and I had some food with them before we started, and then I went back to do some stuff. And then when I came out again to the bistro, Lyle was there taking a selfie, and so I raced up to photobomb the back of it and did the Winston Churchill victory sign. And and I saw the guy in front of me was doing the well, I do believe there's two genders. Sue me. And sorry if I just got your video kicked, but
if you go like this, you're Illuminati too, isn't it? Like, I don't know.
I mean, these guys are crazy. I'm sure the 4chan people are just seeing how many regular mainstream everyday things they can get lefties to censor, hate, and go shrill about.
My mate who was like, I feel so
reel them in. It's just they bite every time.
My mate goes, he's like, I feel so bad, guys. I'm so sorry. Like, we've got to go and apologize to Dave and Lyle. And I was like, oh yeah. And then I went on Google Images and I just started sharing like Barack Obama doing the OK sign, and I just started sharing all these pictures.
I have to be honest. I think a member of the Proud Boys doing that OK sign is stupid. That's my opinion. They can disagree, they can argue, they can hate me. But I just think, given the accusations that are going out there, you could just do a thumbs up or the Winston Churchill victory sign.
Peace.
That's
going to be taken the wrong way now too.
I don't think we want to do peace. That's far too.
We can't do peace anymore. They've ruined the OK.
It's far too.
It's 666 for some people anyway. So
the peace sign is far too Woodstock, far too globalist agenda.
Hippie.
Yeah, far too hippie.
Yeah. What about this? What about the fist? Or is that a bit? Look how they're violent, aggressive.
That's the ultimate hate group, the Marxists. And you know what? Here's the thing that I want to say. They called the Proud Boys a hate group, and I'm not even going to debate whether they are or not, because I'm sure you can find good and bad in any group. What I want to say is that if they were a hate group, and I don't think they are, but I'm not going to debate it. But if they were, they still wouldn't be banned from coming to my events, because I think there is no worse hate group on this planet than the group of activists who vocally, financially, passionately protest and be activists for the right to kill innocent living children. Now, I don't know what you think the death toll from racism in Australia is each year. I know there's plenty of death toll from racism in things like the Holocaust against the Jews, and racial genocides in Rwanda, where one tribe wiped out another tribe. Racism is horrible, and racism can be violent and lethal. But in Australia, the most fatal risk ongoing victim population, the people with the highest body count in Australia are pro-abortionists. Pro-abortionists are the most despicable, vile, gross hate group in this nation.
They kill 1 million Australians every 10 years, mate.
Yeah. Well, it's up to 100,000 a year for sure. Yeah. But here's the deal. Even those people are welcome at my events. I want people I disagree with to come to my events, and I'm happy to have photos with them. And I've had photos with abortion providers, abortionists, obstetricians, gynecologists who have no problem at all killing children. I've had photos and shared them on Facebook. Why? Because I love them. Just like Jesus loved every sinner. And loving them is not the same as endorsing their ideas. And this is the number one thing that the most hateful group on the planet gets wrong every single time. And that is leftists. They are the most intolerant, the most authoritarian, the most violent and lethal group around at the moment by virtue of their support of abortion. And there is no greater cause for fatalities in the world. Not heart disease, not lung disease, not cancer. Abortion is the number one killer of living humans in the world and in this nation every single year. But, you know, you cross a lefty, there is no forgiveness. You disagree with a lefty, they don't want to know you. Whereas you disagree with a Christian, they will debate you about it, tell you it's wrong, and still welcome you and love you. And they've got no ability. And this is why they think we hate gays, simply because we disagree with homosexuality as per the Bible. Well, no, not at all. We can easily find the nuance between bad ideas and bad people. And, you know, bad ideas should be rejected, should be debated, but they should not be shut down. They should be heard, debated, and we should persuade what truth. You know, it's utterly hypocritical for these lefties to accuse the Proud Boys of being haters and a hate group, and then suggest that they should be, you know, cast out from society. Well, who's doing the hating? It's those people who are using those labels and excluding people from society.
It's so strange. Like, you know, they went after us about the Bob Catter thing. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I'd heard some things about it, but I'm not familiar with the details.
So it's like pretty much when we went to the Coalition of Marriage event, right?
Yep.
We're all there. We waited to the end.
Sorry, just a little note from the chat. I think you got a donation from Kevin. Good on you, Kevin.
Oh.
He said to check your PayPal.
Oh, okay. Oh, sweet. Thanks heaps, Kev. I'll have to check my PayPal. I think with PayPal, I'll see if it came through. Should get a text. Oh, yeah? Whoa, I got $20, man. Thanks so much, dude.
Oh, you're outed.
That's huge.
Good on you, Kevin.
Yeah, no, I mean, some dude, Joshua King, gave me $40 the other week. I was like, whoa, nice. I need to do shout outs to these guys. It's kind of good. At least PayPal, the text comes straight through. I should keep an eye on my phone. Nice. Thanks for reminding me, dude. I'm
What's
really glad.
What's your PayPal, Dusty?
I put a link in the description below. So.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Thanks heaps, Kev. Here's the thing, right, Bob. This thing all the article they've linked. There's an article where they've linked the Bob Catter thing and the Lyle Shelton tweet together. Right. And here's the thing, right? We're at the Coalition of Marriage thing, we were standing up for traditional marriage. The Proud Boys were there, and then at the end of the event, we gave Bob Catter the megaphone. He's talking, doing speeches, and we're like, "Hey, Bob, say this, say that." And look, we got him to say the First Degree Proud Boys pledge. He didn't know what he was doing. We were just joking around. Joking around, right?
Yeah.
We didn't think anything of it. Like, it was just a bit of fun. And Bob Catter, he loves a bit of fun. You know what I mean?
He's a character.
He's a bloody mad character. And then, So 2 years later, however long ago that happened, they've written a hit piece about it. And they've said we have ties to white supremacists. Now, in that photo, here I am in my Fred Perry, my Proud Boy shirt. There's Bob. And on the other side of Bob is a Fijian Proud Boy with dreadlocks wearing the Proud Boy shirt.
Yeah.
Now, this is the same thing with Lyle Shelton. They say, the Proud Boys are Nazis. Look at them. Someone's doing a white power symbol. If you look at the photo, we're all wearing our Proud Boy shirt. Who's sitting next to Lyle Shelton? He's a New Zealand Maori. He's a Kiwi. He's a Maori, right? That's our vice president. We just voted him in.
Such a white supremacist. And this is the thing with leftists. The reality makes absolutely no sense to leftists. They can't make head nor tail of it. They utterly reject reality. So they'd have a racial slur for him. They'd call him a coconut or an Uncle Tom or internalized white supremacist or some other stupid, irrational, incoherent argument that makes no sense. They deny the evidence right in front of their eyes that it's not about racial supremacy. It's nothing to do with that at all.
No. The funniest thing is in the Proud Boys, it's like we become such good friends. Hey, we like have a bond of brotherhood.
Yep.
And like it's multiracial, it's religious. Like we have people who are atheist Christians. We have chapters in Israel. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
I have a Jewish dude who's follows my channel, and he donated $10 to me the other week. And I think someone said something like, "Oh, F the Jews," in my comment section. I was like, "Hang on a minute, I love Israel. I'm a Christian." Like,
Yep.
and he sent me $10 in the PayPal. And then the next week he sent me a message and he said, "Hey mate, I've just joined the Proud Boys in Tel Aviv." And I was like, "Good on you, dude. That's freaking awesome." So
Yeah,
like,
awesome.
how the hell are we? Look, we have gay members. We have, and the funny thing is, you know what? We're united in our values and the tenets of the club. That's it. That's what unites us, and it goes beyond skin color or religion. And we're really building this awesome community, and we've got it's mateship, it's friendship, it's we're becoming brothers. It's a special thing.
Look,
It does piss me off that they say this stuff about us.
Yeah, and you got every right to defend yourself. And I don't know enough about the Proud Boys. I haven't seen what I do know. I haven't seen anything that makes me think I should cut all ties from them at all.
Yeah.
I don't
This
want to
is
be.
the thing,
I don't want to
man.
be a part of it. It's
The
not for
guy
everybody.
who
But that doesn't mean
organized.
we cut everybody off. It's just hateful, unforgiving, and there's nothing more unforgiving, less tolerant, unmerciful, ungracious, uncivil than a leftist.
Oh man, I've had the Antifar people abuse me, scream in my face, tell me to go back to New Zealand. Like, isn't that being racist? That's being racist.
Yeah.
Just because my skin's white doesn't mean you can be racist. That was a racist comment. I've got it on footage
against a white fella.
I've got the footage. They're like, go back to New Zealand.
Yeah.
And then they had a sign. This is how stupid Antifar is. They had a sign and it said, "The Proud Boys are gay." So they're using the word gay in a negative way, aren't they?
Yeah.
They hate they don't like us. They hate us. And then they're saying the Proud Boys are gay. Like, they tried. Obviously, that piece of paper wasn't a compliment. So they've just been hypocritical. They go on and they call people fascists and alt-right and white nationalists, and it's like, hang on, man, you just told me to go back to New Zealand. You just used gay in a derogatory term. Like, there's no consistency.
They're spineless bullies. They're thugs and cowards. Half a dozen of them sent emails and abuse to the venue where we were at, and the venue pushed back, and rightly so. They said, "How are we meant to know who's coming in our doors? We're meant to ask everybody, for their resume. We're meant to survey everybody on their political beliefs before we come in." Again, there's nobody less tolerant, more hateful, more bigoted than a leftist. These people are irrational and incoherent.
Yeah. And so you organised the Stefan Molyneux Lauren Southern tour, is that right?
Yeah. Me and Luke Isaac put a little company together called Axiomatic, and we thought we'd give it a crack. And we brought them around to hear what they had to say. Again, I don't agree with everything they say, but we're facilitating a conversation. Let's talk about these ideas. You could persuade me I'm wrong, or you could fail, and I get to believe in what I already believe better than ever before, because my idea is only as good as the best opposition it's encountered. So I want to encounter opposition, because if I've got the wrong idea, I want a right idea. And if I've got a right idea, then I need to be confident in it so that I can help other people get truth. It's not about me or ego. It's about us winning together by discovering truth. When more of us have truth, less of us have the liability of ignorance. And that's a good thing for the whole society.
And so at that event in Brisbane, you had a huge crowd of Antifar there screaming abuse, calling people racist dog. Every person who went in there got screamed at, called a racist dog.
I don't think it was that huge. What was it, 20 or 30?
I think there was 20, probably 25, two different groups of 25.
See, there was a couple of hundred in Melbourne.
Okay, But you had
smelly feral.
There was a journalist who got bashed that night by Antifar, ended up in hospital, lost his job, had to get surgery, unemployed. That guy, and the thing is, we actually had a beer with that journalist. He's a journalist from the Unshackled. He's just the contributor, right? He was like a decent enough normal dude. I think it was the first time I met that guy, and I was like, he's not a Proud Boy. But he came. We bumped into him at the pub, and then he said, "Oh, I'm just going to go down and film some of these Antifar people." And I said, "Oh man, I think they're pretty dangerous. I'll just stay away from him." And next thing we heard, this guy's been bashed by 6 people. You know, how dangerous are they?
That was horrific.
And I'm telling you what, man, the police haven't gone after them. The police could find the people who did that. It's not really good enough that they haven't. Look, I'm sure the police themselves want to find them. Generally, there's other problems going on, but
yeah, indeed.
Yeah. So that was an awesome event, dude. Did you know the video have you seen my video of that event?
Of the Brisbane event
Stephen
with
Molyneux?
Stephen?
I
don't remember it.
Dude, I think I got 4,800 views on my YouTube, so that was huge.
And I didn't make one single video about that tour, or I didn't do an interview with Stefan or Lauren. Didn't even get a selfie with them. I don't know.
Wow.
I was only acting as the tour facilitator. Yeah, just making sure the logistics worked.
Well, I guess it just shows how professional you are, Dave. You know, and you bought something. It was very interesting. Well, you know.
Yeah, should have done a selfie when.
I'm sure you've got a good enough friendship with them. If you know, I'm sure they would give you an interview anytime you like. You know.
I think Australia's heard what they've got to say, and there's plenty of other conversations that I want to have.
Do you know who you need to bring over to Australia, Dave?
Who?
Charlie Sheen, mate. The Charlie Sheen tour.
We'll have a good conversation about minimum wages and the Laffer curve theory of economics, and
it would be the biggest pushback against PC culture. Do you know what I mean? And you could be like, look, I definitely don't agree with this guy, but I'll give him a go. And the thing is, I think it'd be a hot mess, and it'd be so entertaining. People would go. It would be.
I don't think I'm the guy for that. I think
Dave versus Charlie.
Yeah, now debating him, that would be fun. That would be something I'd be up for, because I reckon there'd be a lot of his ideas that I disagree with. But you know, I can't see myself bringing over any more personalities for the sake of it. I think the major events I want to focus on now are the Church and State Summit, and then just the small local events around Australia. So I've been really blessed this year. I've been to Miles and Chinchilla and Dalby and Townsville and Mackay and Cairns and Newcastle. There's a whole bunch. I'm going to other places in Western New South Wales later this year. Moree, Parks, not Parks, Dubbo, Orange. There's other places. This is kind of where I feel like we need to be having these conversations. And the most important conversation to be having right now is how do average people who have no political hobby, aren't that interested, how do they get empowered and activated instead of being the quiet Australians? How do they actually get heard instead of making obscure things like Adani? There's this huge furor about climate change, and what can we actually change with gazillions and billions of dollars shoveled from Australians who can't afford to go without, who are dying from cold exposure in winter in many cases. The soaring prices of electricity. What are we doing shoveling our sovereign wealth over to India to make Al Gore richer, while he stamps the ticket as it goes through? I mean, there's these massive things going on we need to be chatting about, like the slaughter of Australian citizens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at the thing around the climate change is, I mean, it's something like 55 cents in every dollar you earn ends up back into the government right?
Yeah.
Like they're redistributing our wealth. But here, at 55 cents in the dollar in tax, so they want to bring in, anything they want to do around climate change, it's going to result in us paying more tax. Now, look, if they can't solve the problem with 55 cents in every dollar we earn, I think they are not the answer. They're not the answer. And like, this is what I always say. I don't like pollution. I like clean air, clean water. I like to go down the river or the beach and it to be awesome. I go on hunting trips, and it's beautiful out there. We want to keep it beautiful. You know what I mean? We want to keep it clean. But I have not bought into the climate change. It doesn't worry me about that. All I know is taxing us more is not going to solve the problem. If you can't solve the problem with 55 cents in the dollar, well, there's something wrong. But at the same time, I like the idea of having a clean environment. I don't like pollution. I don't have a filthy house and a filthy yard, or wouldn't go jump in a filthy river. You know what I mean? So I got to be consistent there.
Absolutely. We got to care for the environment, but the climate has always changed. They used to be able to grow crops in Greenland. There used to be a wine industry in England when, the Romans used to harvest grapes there for making wine. The climate is far colder today than it was, 2,000 years ago. Far colder. And then we've also had since then a mini ice age where it's been far colder than it is today. So these things were all before cars and coal factories, coal-powered fire stations. And,
I've had left-wing people. Like, I've got a left-wing mate, and we went to the pub, and he just gave me an ear bashing about climate change. And then he said, I've just got to pop in home to pick up my whatever he had to do something. I said, yeah, man, we went in there. We opened the door, and I'm telling you, dude, the TV was left on, the computer was left on, the fan's on, the aircon's on, all the lights are on. It's the middle of the day. And I said, what happened to climate change, buddy?
Yeah.
I said, here's the guy who's I'm not really fussed about it. But you know what? I am fussed about things like getting value for money and getting a good deal. And you know what? I've bought a rainwater tank. I've bought solar panels for my roof. I have solar hot water. My power bill is like $100, man. Half the year I don't even pay for power.
Hey, I was handing out how to vote cards at an election booth some time ago, a couple of elections ago, and I was standing next to a Greens supporter, and she was in her 60s, a GP, a thinking lady, you'd assume, despite evidence to the contrary. And we were just comparing our lives. I'm handing out for a Conservative minor party. She's handing out for the Greens. We're on opposite ends of the spectrum. She would call me far right. I would call her far left. And
far left.
far, 3 R's, far left. And we're just comparing our lives. And I was so much more environmentally responsible than she was. I live really close, within walking distance of my parents. And she says, oh, you save on green miles. I'm like, what's green mile? I can't remember the term now. Maybe that wasn't even the right term. But she was talking about how much fossil fuels people use visiting their families because we all spread apart, interstate and internationally nowadays. I'm like, yeah, and I can walk around to them.
She probably wants to abort all our families anyway.
I had a miniature horse in the yard at that stage, so I wasn't even using fossil fuels to mow the lawn. The horse did it all for me and recycled that to make the veggies we grew for ourselves, so our food didn't require transport most of the time.
And then you had a shotgun wedding and ate him. No, he's a horse, so...
it's just funny how ungreen the Greens are and how very environmentally responsible
because all they want is a tax. I swear, dude. All they want is a tax. All they want is more tax, eh? And this is the thing. I think
just
all
Christians... Says he stopped farting. The bloke in the chat says he stopped farting. Very environmentally responsible.
Yeah, what a legend. Man, I think a lot of Christians too, right? Like, I think Christians are afraid of a one world government. Like, isn't there something in the book of Revelations about rising up this false prophet and there'll be you
don't want a one world government.
We don't want a one world government. Christians aren't
nature.
interested in it. Like,
Yep.
however you read the book of Revelations, whether it's like, oh, this is a metaphor, this is hyperbole, this is, you know, a spiritual interpretation, however we interpretate it, all I know is it's kind of warning us about a one world government. Like, we read the book
Absolutely.
of, we read that in the book of Revelations, we read the story of the Tower of Babylon, and we're like, yeah, it kind of, didn't really work. We're kind of not interested in that. And then when they talk about global warming and they say what we're going to do is bring in a one world tax, which is like this is how they're going to, this is like the one world government. How do we know the one world government exists? When we have a one world tax. That will be it.
Oh, and of course it is. And climate change is part of that because of the United Nations. You know, the money that we have to send to the United Nations for unelected bureaucrats to impose living conditions and laws on us is utterly ridiculous. You know, the majority of their time is spent not worrying about the world; it's worrying about Israel.
Oh, they've got some nutcase ideas.
Yep.
I don't understand that. And then here's another weird thing. How many times do you hear like lefties call people Nazis, but then these people on the left always hate Israel? They're like the biggest haters of Israel ever.
Yep.
You know, and I'm like, maybe I need to talk to them. I need to find some. I've got a few lefty mates, you know, but I'm going to be like, explain to me what the hell's going on here. I can't understand that. You know?
Don't go down that rabbit hole.
There's some bad rabbit holes down there, and I think some conspiracies are.
Yeah, they're incoherent. Their reality, their sense of reality, doesn't hang together.
Oh no!
It falls
There's
apart.
so many conspiracies out there, and I think like a lot of the left-wing politics, and maybe the alt-right, alt-left, either side of politics, I think they're really embedded in some conspiracies. Hey.
Yep. Hey, what's your Twitter? Roots Calhoun wants to know what your Twitter
if you
account is.
just check out the dustybogan.com, and then my Twitter. There's a link to my Twitter on there.
You don't know it off the top of your head?
I made my Twitter the other.
.com.
I made my Twitter the other week. I think I've only done 3 tweets. I'm gonna have to get onto it, eh? Yeah, the Dusty Bogan. Oh, hang on. What's this? Yeah, the Dusty Bogan. One word. I think that's it.
I got to follow you on Twitter.
Yeah, mate. I've got Is this right? Hang on. Did that even go into my Twitter? I don't know. Technical.
Bogan. Just doing a search for you now.
Am I even on there?
Yeah, the Dusty Bogan.
Sweet. There you go, mate.
The Dusty Bogan.
I don't know why it's not letting me access. I need to do something with my website. I've got a technical issue on the website.
I'm on it.
Are you? Okay. Will the links work? Does it take you to my Twitter?
I couldn't see it easily. I just went straight to... Oh, yeah, there it is. Twitter.
Okay, so it did work.
For
some reason it's not working on my end. Twitter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it kind of works. Not bad. How'd you build your website?
My mate built it for me like 2 weeks ago for free. And tonight I'm going to go take him... I've got a hard drive with like... This hard drive's full. What's a hard drive? They have like 3 terabytes. Is that right?
It's how long's a piece of string? You can get them in different sizes.
Okay, I think it's about 3. I think I paid $90 for it.
Okay.
Or $80. So it's pretty much full of all my interviews. Hey, and he's going to upload it all onto the onto my website. So if I ever get deplatformed, people will be able to. My content's secure. I've got it on a hard drive. I've got it on my laptop. I've got it on my website.
Yep.
And then people will be able to find the links to alternative social media that I'm using. So I'm trying to insulate myself from, what seems to happen all the time. It's like the PC madness and the censorship,
Yeah, very cool.
And the thing is, this is the biggest thing. This is the stuff about like the Bob Catter article or Lyle Shelton. People blow things up. And they make false accusations, but once that's happened a few times, all these left-leaning journalists, they start quoting and referencing the false articles. They create circular reasoning. Do you know what I mean?
I do indeed.
That's how and that's why I'm thinking, oh man, they've already written. I've mentioned me in a few articles now, the Guardian, the White Rose Society, SBS, and I'm thinking,
oh really?
This is the start of circular reasoning, where they'll put out another hit piece and then they'll reference that one.
Yeah, see?
And then it has links to Proud Boys articles that are all false as well.
Yeah.
And then you think like, oh man, that's how they did. That's how they do stop all these tours that was supposed to happen. You know what I mean? They shut down Penthouse and the Gavin and Milo tour.
Yep.
They use circular reasoning and all these hit piece articles. It's all the same.
Yeah, self-referenced authority. They just keep, agreeing with each other and taking it as proof that they're right.
Yeah, and never looking like whoever wrote the hit pieces about Bob Catter, and then they linked in the article with Lyle Shelton. They didn't even look at the picture. How can they say we have links to the white nationalists where there's people who are not European heritage in the photo in Proud Boys shirts? How is that possible?
Yeah.
What is the logic? If go online, look up proudboys.com, and then it says of the different chapters, you can join the Israel chapter if you're Jewish. It's funny anyway.
It is, and the head of the Proud Boys in America at the moment, isn't he black?
Yeah, he's Cuban and African American.
Yep.
I was gonna try get him on. I actually sent him a message today. It was either you or him, and I chose you, Dave.
I'm honoured. Thank you very much.
Hopefully, no one writes a hit piece and be like, Dave Pellowe.
I don't care. I
honestly
don't care what the left writes about me, or what the right write about me. I think I'm kind of proud of actually how the extreme left and the extreme right both really hate me and have horrible things to say about me. It's quite comforting, actually.
Well, maybe all I need is the alt-right to start writing some hit pieces about me, and then I'm like, I must be doing something right.
Yeah, it's you've got a little ways to go yet. You've got to get the alt-right, the extreme right in Australia having some nasty things to say about you. Then you probably got both hands on common sense.
Well, that's it. You're a great example for me, Dave. So I reckon I'm going to be, when are all these? Have we got more pro-life rallies coming up in Brisbane? Or what?
No, I don't think so. Look, the Queensland government, just like Victoria and Western Australia, are really determined to legalise euthanasia, death as therapy. If you're feeling bad, just kill yourself. It'll all be better soon.
So really, is that coming in now in Queensland?
Yeah, they're doing parliamentary submissions, and I think the parliamentary submissions have closed. And so they're sending it to committees. So people need to be talking to their members of parliament, and probably Cherish Life Queensland are the best people. The Australian Christian Lobby as well, to be keeping up to date with how that battle is going and what you can do to change it. But always we should be talking to our local members of parliament and saying, if you want my vote, don't vote for injustice, do vote for justice. And whatever the issue is, let them know how to represent you, because that's their job. We don't work for them. They work for us.
Yeah. So people can find you at davepellowe.com.
Yep, davepellowe.com. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Dave Pellowe.
And awesome, mate.
davepellowe.com's the website where I do articles and videos. And always up for a chat, a debate, an argument if I'm wrong about anything.
Awesome, sweet. Hey, Dave, thanks so much for coming on, man. And it was nice to be able to clear the air, because I'd hate as a Proud Boy to make you look bad. Same with Lyle, even Bob Catter. I really respect you guys, and
cheers.
We're not what they say we are.
It's not on you. All people are welcome. Even abortion supporters at my events. And if the ideas that are responsible for killing 100,000 Australians a year are welcome at my events, people with a lowered body count are also welcome. And that doesn't mean I endorse any of them.
Yeah. Thanks heaps, Dave. Cheers, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers, Dusty.
Cheers, mate.